Almost there to start the webinar. Topic for today's session is getting ready for Law Society audit. It is a 1-hour CPD session accredited for professionalism CPD credits across Ontario, New Brunswick, British Columbia, and Alberta. I will enter the details for this topic, and you could probably enter in the details in your respective Law Society portal to obtain the 1 hour of CPD credits. Repeating the topic once again, it's getting ready for a Law Society audit. Now, almost towards end of this year, we all are into probably reconfirming various processes of day-to-day accounting, day-to-day practice management review of your practice, and being ready for a Law Society audit is definitely one of the most important things that we all want to do, so that any time of the year when you're being audited, you're able to produce the documents to the Law Society auditor and say, this is it. Right from the time you've started your firm, or at least, let's say you're being audited for a specific time frame for 3 to 6 months prior to the time when you're being audited. So it's always advised, especially if you're a new entrepreneur, especially if you're someone who's began the practice in the first 18 months of your of your profession or your practice, you are going, there's the high number of chances or the high level of chances that you are going to be audited, and that you have all the documents that are probably needed for a Law Society compliance aspect of it, that you're able to produce within no time. So that is what we're going to typically see today in today's topic, which is getting ready for a Law Society audit. I know this topic is pretty vast. It can be as exhaustive as it can, but we have broken broke this into 4 different compartments, I would probably call it as, and we're going to see how each of these are being addressed from a practice management point of view, as well as from a legal practitioner point of view, so that any time of the day you're being called for an audit, you're going to be ready with the set of documents at your office or on your virtual drive somewhere on the cloud, making sure in all the individual documents are up to date at your end. Like every other webinar, today's webinar also has an agenda. The agenda is pretty straightforward. Like I already said, we've broken it down into 4 different compartments. But what are these 4 different things that you want to go through with me today, which is definitely going to be seeing what is this audit process. The word audit brings an alarm to all of us. It kind of wakes us up, making sure that, okay, this is something that you're aware of, and that is what I'm going to probably bring to your notice and let you know that these are certain things that you need to be definitely aware of, and also be keeping a tab on, ensuring that every month these are the documents that you download, and be ready for an audit any time of the year. And how to prepare for an audit. You're going to be called, let's say you've been emailed, or you've been given a call, and you've been approached rather for an audit. Instead of panicking, where do you start? How do you start? Or if you've already began, or if you're already a person who is into keeping your accounts up to date, keeping your documents up to date, making sure you're on a monthly level of compliances and your year-end compliance, everything is up to date. So your taxes, your HST, everything is clear. So, preparing for an audit doesn't just start over an hour. It is something that you do from day one of your firm. So we're going to see how all of those is done. And we're also going to see, like I said, the four important components or the four major components that we've divided Law Society audit into uh, being practice review, financial review, technology review, the other practice management and legal accounting software. We're going to be seeing, of course, the time management review too. So we're going to be seeing these four major components of what is it being audited like. And of course, we're also going to see what is an audit and how does it work and things like that. So this is what today's agenda carries. Just repeating the details of today's topic. The topic for today's session is getting ready for Law Society audit. It is a 1-hour CPD session accredited across Ontario, British Columbia, New Brunswick, as well as Alberta. Right. So from what we just discussed in the last couple minutes, I'm sure all of you are able to connect the dots to say that somewhere there needs to be certain things that goes as an input to produce as an output into the documents that are being provided to Law Society. It could be for the compliance part, it could be for conducting an audit, it could be for your year-end annual report, but today's focus is mainly audit. What is an audit? Where does this word come from? Why are you being audited? So typically, when you're a new entrepreneur, within the first 18 months, I mean, it's not very, very sure that even after 18 months, you're not going to be audited. There's so many times when somebody is being audited in the first 6 months, then someone's again being audited in the first 3 years. So maybe within the next 2 years, you're going to be audited. So there's no such pattern, but the more often we've encountered or we've heard from our existing clients or from what we have at least read or known from the facts that within the first 18 months there are high chances that you would be audited by Law Society. And what are the documents that you could possibly carry with you, along with you, especially when you're a newbie? That's in terms of supporting an audit, making sure you're following the guidelines, such as if you're having a trust and a general account, and also a business credit card, let's say, which also falls under general basically. So to put it in a nutshell, making sure you maintain your trust in general bank accounts and preparing the ledgers and journals according to your client's data, as well as the money that comes in, goes out, basically ensuring that you're able to provide all the input or data entry into a system or into a spreadsheet, wherever it is, whichever it is. If you're using, this is where practice management plays a big role, right? So this is where, if you're simply entering stuff into an Excel spreadsheet, it's still going to be, numbers into the Excel spreadsheet. But whereas if you're entering these numbers into a practice management review or into a practice management solution, like let's say uLaw, for example, you're going to be having those numbers converted into documents such as trust ledgers, trust journals, payment journals, receipts journals, various other documents that Law Society needs from you upon being audited. And this is something that will help you in a long run, especially when you're doing your data entry. It's not, the data is available at multiple points. It's not like you enter data at a matter level and you're looking for a document at accounting level. You don't have to re-enter them, but the program automatically picks the data that you enter in the matter to provide you with the documents under the accounting or the financial data level or the financial documents level. So this is where the purpose of an audit is being built, making sure that the law firm records and keeps all the transactions up to date in the program that they use, and ensuring all the data is transformed into documents that Law Society requires. Now, why me? That is something that you need to probably think over. So why me? Where, you're being a little proactive, you're also at the same time able to understand the details of various financial data that is going to be filed, that is going to be accessed, that is going to be part of the compliance documents. Now, this is very important, especially when it comes to financial record keeping requirements, ensuring that you use a program or you use a legal practice management program. Now, a general accounting program is something that will definitely not help you produce these documents, while at least these practice management reviews are a little proactive in making sure all the compliance data is going to be provided to you, and all of them are going to be in compliance with the record keeping requirement for your further audit requirements. So that falls part of it. So making sure you're clear with the purpose and why me from day one is very important. Now, there are certain people who are not able to maintain their books from day one. So it's definitely recommended to start with a program or start with a practice management review. So that way, you right from the day one, you're having a software or having a legal practice management program that helps you to deliver the documents to you at the right time. Right now, at the same time, while we're all talking about why and what is it to be audited, what am I being audited is also really important to know. This is where I've broken it down into 4 different components, where it includes practice review, financial review, technology review, professional and time management review. While we are all very much aware about all of these in a smaller aspect, we are also going to be looking into it in a broader perspective, understanding what is it to have a practice review like, and where does the what role does financial review play, and technology, as well as the time and professional management. So while it comes to practice review, where the firm has probably met with a client or the prospective client, and the client has signed a retainer agreement, and they've retained them for various purposes. Let's say for a 1 or 2 matters, at least to begin with one matter where a file where they have retained you for their services. And this is where the first time talk happens. And what are the points that are involved at this level to maintain a compliance? Doing a conflict check, making sure you're keeping a track of the source of contact book or so, and then fee book. There are several things that is involved at each of these stages. So making sure a practice review will help you understand what is required, and also keep it handy when you're being audited, and the practice review documents, right from the time the retainer letter is being signed to the time intake form is submitted and it moves on. So making sure that the firm properly manages clients, their matters and procedures as per guidelines, right from the time the conflict check is done to the time the matter file is open. It all falls under practice review. And yes, audit Sometimes they impose practice review, sometimes they impose on financial review. Financial review is very common because this is where all the compliance documents comes into role. This is where the trust and general accounts are being maintained by you, and making sure all the data, financial data, is being entered from time to time, and all the other trust and general account transactions are being monitored, and all of those are entered in the respective ledger. So financial review is as equivalent as it is for practice review is. And I would say that financial review and practice review goes hand in hand, making sure that it's a continuation of practice review, of course. So when you have all your client matter management done, the following stage is where the potential clients are being retained, and then they pay you the retainer into trust, and then the trust receipt is provided. Once the money comes in, the financial review starts playing a role. This is where you need to make sure to download the client's trust ledger, the client's trust receipt journals, making sure all the, if there's any checks or receipts that are being issued, you need to make sure to add them to the folder and have all of them, keep them all handy. So this is something that I always recommend my clients to do, making sure that all the documents from day one, whether it's a small receipt or it's probably as important as a Form 9A, make sure that you have everything in hand from the day one, right? So you can be audited for anything at any time. Like I said, it could be just a simple practice review audit, or it could be a financial review audit. Technology review is pretty straightforward. It's something to make sure that you have safety standards to protect your technology failures. You have backup of data. You're able to ensure that the firewalls in the program that you're using is strong. You have passwords that is protected to your computer, and making sure the technology that you're using is being definitely not obsolete, but at the same time it is at par with the safety standards, and other technology failures are avoided at this time. So as a third component, technology review is also important, ensuring, because today's world, everything is online, everything is in fact on the cloud, not even saved on the desktop. Like if you use uLaw, everything is on the cloud. You just need internet, making sure that the technology is put to good use, but at the same time the safety standards are being followed. And the last component here is professional and time management, making sure that the firm takes necessary steps to maintain high standards in the area of professional rules and conduct. So making sure that the area of time management is pretty high here, making sure that from time to time, especially when it comes to reconciliation, within the first 25th of the month, the previous month's reconciliation needs to be completed for trust accounts, and ensuring that the quarterly taxes have been filed, ensuring that the annual report is being filed. There's several things that from a time management review standard, it is being maintained. Even raising a simple invoice has to be typically before you either receive the money into general account or before you transfer the money from trust to general account. So the time management is typically what helps you to make sure that all your documents are intact. In spite of missing anything, you're going to be able to reproduce them, and you're going to be able to keep a copy of it in the respective folders. While you're being audited, it's going to be simple and helpful for you to proceed and showcase to them what has happened in the real account. For those of you who've joined a little late, we're discussing about getting ready for Law Society audit. It's a 1-hour CPD session. It's accredited for professionalism CPD, and it's valid across Ontario, British Columbia, New Brunswick, and Alberta. Just to quickly recap what we've discussed so far, we've discussed about what is an audit and why we need to be ready, why we need to be proactive with the compliance measurement that's laid out by Law Society guidelines, and how does it help to typically follow these four components or guidelines from the standpoint of practice, financial data, or technology and time management, ensuring all the rules and regulations are being followed. And here we are at how could we achieve it? How could you prepare for an audit? What does it take to have a healthy firm, healthy law firm rather? As we all know, while you begin a firm, it is a lot of work where all the let's say all the approvals needs to be coming through, and all of the other details in terms of setting up your firm, setting up your practice is going to be aligned in a point or at a point where all the documents that you need upon starting your first intake is going to be there right from day one. This is something I always recommend my clients, whether you have a client or not. I would highly recommend starting off with a let's say with a practice management solution, or with at least typically recording your transactions on a day-to-day basis, so that whether you have income or not, you're typically going to start having expenditures that start going out of your account from day one, which you would want to record as capital expense. So typically in a practice procedure on a regular basis, I would say weekly, monthly, and yearly review of financial statements is must. So you're going to be adding data on a daily basis, but let's say you review it on a weekly basis, and then reconciliation is another review. So when reconciliation happens, there is nothing that you could let slip within that time. So this is where our program brought in something called preview reconciliation, where you can preview it every week, reconcile it on a weekly basis, and then you come to the end of the month. Reconciliation is such a cakewalk. I love it. It's so simple that when you reconcile on a weekly basis, if there is any error, you could fix it. This is something I always recommend my clients to do. Don't wait until 25th of the next month to do the reconciliation. If you're having a trust account, try to do it on or before. So actually every week, like I said, you could do a preview, see if there's any error, fix it. Sometimes there could be bank errors. You're going to be fixing it on the same day if you're doing, at least the same week if you're doing a weekly review. So review of financial statements from day one, and doing it every day is not too bad. It's definitely consuming time depending upon the software you use, depending upon the program you use. How easy you are able to obtain all of these details or information is important. But like I said, it is going to be your own choice, because end of the day, you're able to fill in the documents and also portray it to the Law Society auditor. So it is something that will help you to be ready at any standpoint of time if you're able to record the transaction on a daily basis. So start off with a checklist. I always, again, recommend this to my clients. Start off with a checklist. What are certain things on a weekly basis that you plan to do on a monthly, quarterly, yearly? So quarterly is very clear. You want to do your HST return, filing return at that time. So you want to make sure that everything is available for you every quarter. And then on a weekly or a monthly basis, you're also again going to be able to add in the transactions. If there's any error, fix it, making sure all your bank accounts are being validated, both trust and general. And in fact, if you have a credit card, making sure all of the transactions are being validated, and basically reviewing your bank transactions and matching it with what is available in your respective program. And in a monthly financial checklist, if you go under compliance in uLaw, in fact, if you're a uLaw user, you would find a separate compliance tab in each section. In fact, you'll find it in contacts level, you'll find it in matter level, and also financial data level, where you can pull out all trust plus general documents, journals, reconciliation statements. And when it comes to quarterly, there are several things that you might want to look at. Let's say taxes, and making sure all the communications to the client is being reviewed, time is being well managed, and then professional commitments and other matter management process or procedure is also being taken care of. So right from the time you onboard a client to the time you give a closing letter, everything is involved as part of the checklist. So again, it's there in the compliance document. Please try to go and find, if you're again a uLaw user, I would say please try to go and find what is it that helps you to prepare for an audit. There's an audit guide under help. There's a checklist that you can probably use for month end, year end, quarter end, review the health of your business. So that way, it'll be much more helpful for you. I'll take a quick pause to see if any of you have any questions. Please do let me know. Topic for today's session is getting ready for a law society audit. Let me know if you all have any questions. Please put it up on the chat. And on to see more details about those 4 components, which is practice management review, and then financial review, technology review, and then professional and time management review. Regarding practice management, I'm not sure how many of you in this session are using a practice management solution by itself, but this is something that is such a game changer. Whether you're using uLaw or any other tool, or if you're using simple Excel, or even some people use, could be any app. But what should you do to review when it comes to a client management, and how does it simplify your process while using a practice management review? So client service and communication is an ongoing process. It starts off with client intake to the time when you deliver or render the services, to the time when you send a closing letter. Up to that time, there's so many communications that pass on. There's so many interactions that happen. So docketing each and everything and making a detailed note of it is definitely the process where all the client matters are being handled. Whenever they're paying the retainer, the deposits are made into the trust and the receipts provided. If it's a cash, I don't think more than 7,500 or 7,500 is allowed to be taken as a cash receipt into trust. But even that has restrictions further saying, within 24 hours, you have to deposit into your trust account in the bank. Not more than 24 hours, you're allowed to hold the cash in hand, and ensuring that the joint retainers are being notified, being recorded so that the respective receipts and invoices goes out in both their names, handling all the fee complaints, procedures, making sure your communication with them is as simple and as straightforward, so that providing the clients with regular details from monthly, in fact, I would say weekly, monthly, quarterly, yearly updates, orally, as well as in written, could be over emails. If it's an ongoing file, if it's not an ongoing file, if it's one-time file, it's pretty simple. You just provide them with one-time update and you let it go there. But certain, let's say, civil or litigation matters where you have some matters that is being prolonging for a while, you will have to implement certain features where you provide the clients with quarterly updates, monthly updates, give them the general and trust ledger, try to find out what is happening in the practice or for their specific matter is what I meant. So making sure all the documents, right from the time you are being, you're onboarding a client to the time the closing letter is provided, or a non-engagement letter is provided to ghost client, everything forms part of practice management review. So, like I said, if you're using a program like uLaw, you would simply see a compliance tab under every section, especially contacts, matter, and accounts, where all of these documents in relation to audit purpose would be available, and that is where most of it is being put to use. So please do check out if you're using uLaw and understand how the checklist helps you to produce documents. Moving further, what is practice management checklist? Like we were just talking about the checklist. What does it contain? What does it do? So every stage or every phase of a client interaction includes a checklist, right? Maybe a client management or a contact management would have included a simpler checklist. When it comes to matter management and internal procedures, a slightly bigger or slightly deeper checklist where all the details of the client's dockets, file name, and different same client might have different matters, making sure separate matters have file names and numbers respectively that are different from the matter that you have already created. Organizing those files and docketing is really important, making sure you're able to create these retainer letters from time to time, which is containing all the details in the agreement, nature, fee structure, disbursements, how are you going to recover for the expenses, which is disbursements, making sure that everything is being addressed at the same time, where you're properly maintaining the status, whether it's an active matter or closed matter or an archive matter, ensuring that the matter is being, so that if you're entering, let's say if it's a sale and a purchase, the sale is completed and then the purchase begins. Ensure that once a sale matter is completed, the money is moved from sale to purchase file and intermatter trust transfer takes place. That is one of the most important documents for Law Society from an aspect of client matter management, because there's money moving in from one matter to another matter under the same client. You need to download intermatter trust transfer. So all of these forms part of files that were to be downloaded or that were to be prepared, rather, if you're not using a program. So again, I'm only quoting my program as an example, since uLaw does all of this. But if you're using something else, try and see if you're able to download this. But uLaw provides these to you in a simple compliance tab. Make sure that all of these are handled properly, and you're able to do the closing procedure. You're able to conduct closing procedure for every matter. Once it's done, make sure to close it, provide the client with a closing letter or a non-engagement letter, and send your bill at closure, making sure that statement of activity, statement of account, statement of bill of cost, all of these are provided to the client along with your invoice, ensuring also the closing happens properly, the closure letter is provided to them, and you're able to go from there. The next part is about financial management checklist. And what should you do to review when it comes to client fee structure, handling retainer letters, agreements? What are the points that you have to remember to include them into the retainer agreement? So retainer agreement is pretty straightforward, where you would be including certain points that you have in mind, which is suitable for your practice, where you're able to capture all the details for your fee structure into your retainer letter, which is one of the most basic points, where let's say you want to charge them a block fee rate, or let's say you want to charge them a billable time rate. These fee rates of various legal counsels and assistants are also to be properly addressed, and your fee structure handle, let's say, contingencies for SABS cases, and some for the block fee for, let's say, real estate files. You will need to have all of these details entered into your retainer agreement as part of the first stage, as part of the first formal agreement that you lay with the client. And retainer should also have a section that covers charges that can occur due to that includes all of the retainer points, which includes also the cover charges and other disbursements, and how do you plan to recover these disbursements, whether you're going to be entering these disbursements from your trust money, or whether you're going to be using the general money and then recovering it from your client later on and moving the funds from trust to general. All of these forms part of your retainer checklist, and ensuring that your retainer agreement carries all these points. And once it's being done, you are able to produce the respective documents. If, for example, your retainer letter says that disbursement is going to be done from your general account and then it'll be recovered later, you will have to produce the invoice in such a way that they're being dispersed from the general, and then you're going to be transferring the money from trust to general upon invoicing. That is a procedure. That is the proper procedure, where you also issue a receipt upon acceptance of retainer amount, and utilize the retainer towards legal fee, disbursements, move it from trust to general with a simple invoice. While all this happens, let's say if you've received retainer in cash, the proper way to handle it is, like I said, you're allowed to have up to $7,500 as cash and retainer cash, and it has to be deposited into your trust account within 24 hours. And the day of receipt and day of deposit needs to be verified, making sure all the details are being provided in the trust receipt that you're giving the client. And you're able to capture all these details right from the day one, when the client's retainer agreement is provided, to the time the retainer has been submitted to you and a receipt has been provided, etc. Are you able to capture cost and appropriate taxes is also a big question mark. So making sure that all of these amounts are provided under the checklist is highly recommended. So I would definitely make sure that these are certain points that you in fact include in the retainer agreement by itself. So retainer is one of the most basic documents that would help you to, that will help you to build the further documents for this specific client of yours. And when you're being audited, this retainer agreement acts as one of the most basic points where all of the details are laid out, like nature and scope of work, what are the client obligations, what are your obligations, how frequently you communicate, what are the methods you communicate, your other monetary aspects involved in the agreement, the termination clause and the confidentiality and other risks of using various technologies to exchange emails. Everything is there as part of your retainer checklist. While coming into financial management checklist, like I said, financial management is one of the most core important topics that you want to address. And it involves right from the time an invoice is raised to the time the money is brought into either trust or general respectively, and ensuring that all the invoices that were raised, you are able to collect the money and deposit into trust and general and provide them with a receipt. And these form part of the trust lessee journals, trust payment journals, and also if there are any trust transfers from trust to general. And there are other documents that form part of financial management, and raising invoices and getting payment for it is definitely getting paid into trust or general. are really important, ensuring that you're receiving the amounts definitely not more or less, but equal to the invoice. And if there are any outstanding balances, getting them paid on time. If you're paying for any disbursements from general account, like I said, keeping a track of it and recovering it, moving it from trust to general along with your legal fee is really important. Some use trust account to also pay the disbursements, making sure that you're paying for disbursements out of your trust account. There are certain disbursements that can be paid. We have a separate CPD session on disbursements demystified, where we talk about how when disbursements are paid out of trust, when it is being paid out of general, what kind of disbursements can be paid out of trust. So if you've attended the session in the past, good. If not, please go onto our YouTube channel and you'll find Disbursements Demystified, where this little topic will give you more guidance on how, with a compliance aspect, you'll be able to make the disbursements from trust accounts. So that is also important. And making sure all of the invoice balances for any matter for this client is being quickly done, and all the balances are being transferred from trust to general account for your invoices that you've raised. And any concerns and complaints about these invoices within the internal procedure, you're able to address it and take it to the client and let them know that regarding the fees or regarding the disbursements, anything that you come across or your client feels that they need more justification. This is where the financial management documents plays a huge role. You're able to provide them with all the details, keep it handy, and these checklists will definitely help you to provide further details on how it is being achieved, and how you're able to definitely take it forward and make sure all the concerns are being addressed for your client. And what does the financial management checklist include? Right from the time you handle the retainer to the time the money is moved from trust to general after invoicing, making sure the taxes are being received and paid for, everything includes. So specifically, if you're looking at trust account and general account, right from the time you add in transactions into trust account, the client trust ledgers, trust receipts and disbursements, Form 9A, where you make an electronic fund trust transfer, and trust comparisons and reconciliation. So if you ask me on top of my head, trust is definitely more compliant required bank account than a general account. And we all know that trust is definitely more sensitive because it handles your client's money, or it rather has your client's money in it. And right from the time maintaining the trust ledgers, so their client trust ledgers, their trust receipt journals, disbursement journals, you have trust reconciliations, and then you have Form 9A, which is Electronic Fund Trust Transfer Requisition Form, so EFT, so Electronic Trust Transfer Requisition Form. All of these are part of handling trust and required procedures and documents. And these are some documents that are being asked from time to time. So making sure that you're able to keep a track of these documents on a monthly basis would be really great, because when you're being audited, you can just simply take them and put it out for the respective dates. General account is also very similar, but it's a little less lenient, because it's mostly maintaining general ledgers, general reconciliations, fee book, expense book. It could be any expense. It could be containing office expenses, these disbursements that are made from your office, recording the discounts, write-off. Everything is there as part of the general account transactions, and also making sure all of these taxes are being recorded that are being received and paid. It also covers a little bit of CRA requirements. That's what I mean. Like every quarter, making the HST payments are also a part of. I have more questions coming in on the chat window. I'm just taking a quick pause as we discuss. Aren't these ledgers, journals, books, and reconciliation, etc., part of the month end? Yes, Mark, it is part of your month end too. That is why in uLaw we've provided with these compliance tab, giving it as month end. But this is also what mostly they require in your audit. Mostly that's we are discussing in common, right? So mostly they are going to ask you for these ledgers, journals, Form 9As, reconciliations, fee books, expense book. All of these are part of your financial management compliance that you would see under this tab. So that is why I'm saying if you're really good with your month end, if you're being audited even tomorrow morning, I'm sure you would be ready. That is the level of, I think, discipline all of us need to maintain to be ready for an audit anytime. That's why it's called spot audit, even though they don't literally make you give the documents in spot, but they do say that, they within next 1 week, we would like to see all of these documents. So, if you're typically doing a month end religiously, I would say even the next minute from their email, you'll be able to provide with these documents. All right. I hope we're almost to the fag end of this webinar. I know these topics require more time. I am trying my best to include as many topics as these kind of it that will be helpful for you all. So yeah, coming to how these can be managed in terms of client updates. How are these being managed rather for client updates, right? From the time you providing an invoice. The invoice is just one piece of paper that provides with details as to what work you have done and what disbursements you've charged and what is available in trust and what the client owes you. But there are certain documents that are beyond invoices. Those are called statements. Would be statement of activities, settlement statements, statement of accounts, bill of costs. These are all further to clarifying invoices that are available with the details as to each docket, when the client paid, how much, even further drill down details as to what was the money that was in general, how much was transferred, how much is still remaining in trust account, so on and so forth. So definitely how frequently you're doing it is important, like I said, and ensuring that on a monthly basis, quarterly basis, all of these procedures are being followed, updated on your client's matter, verbally, written. I would say it's good to have invoice balances, statement of activity, account and settlement statements all done, downloaded or prepared or, found from online, or if you're using a program like uLaw, you just be able to get them in a quick one-click button, and ensuring that all of these procedures are followed right from the time your account is being opened or the matter is being opened to the time matter is being closed. Even matter closure requires a procedure, making sure you're able to provide the closing letter, ensuring the full statement of settlement and accounts are being generated or prepared, and the entire matter closure letter, proper transfer if there's any funds sitting in trust, making sure everything is moved to general account, invoiced, of course, and you're able to arrive at projected balance being zero. And one good habit I would say is immediately close that matter. If you're using a program like uLaw again, you will have an option to close a matter. Please close the matter, and if there's any funds lying in trust before you close the matter, ensure it's being invoiced and moved from trust to general. All of this allows, because Law Society also says that you cannot bill the client and have money sitting in trust for more than a specific period. So ensuring that you are able to transfer the funds from trust account to general account without any pending balance is really important. And one of the most important, again, now is about reviewing technology, as we're all here, reviewing technology, ensuring the backups are being done from time to time, ensuring your computer data and the document management solution that you're using is all being backed up. And your practice management, if you're using something like uLaw, it's a legal accounting software, it's highly available where you're able to keep a track of all of the data. There should be a backup always, and making sure you're clearing up your system with antivirus and having proper network security. All of these counts as part of backup and security procedures. As part of any risk, indicating any risk to the clients for using technology is only when you're able to see if the retainer clearly indicates there's a technology risk. When you're giving them a retainer agreement, making sure that you inform them. It's a well-informed decision then that, well, they're making the retainer payment to you. So it's whether the retainer has any risk or using such electronic mediums such as any online payments or any cash payments, whatever includes such an email of communication to them talking about the technology or the electronic medium that you're using. So reviewing your software, reviewing the technology that you use from time to time, making sure there's no virus, making sure that you have a backup of all the data in your computer, and also making sure that these are being communicated very clearly to your clients on a retainer letter is also really important. And what are the benefits of practice management? Definitely in the last 5 minutes, this is something I really need to talk to you all about. Our program by itself being practice management. There's a thin line of difference between using a practice management solution and an accounting or a general accounting system for keeping records of your accounts, bank records, financial records, whatever. Because when you maintain all of these above documents, if you let the software do the work at the background, which is something like uLaw does, you input the transactions and you get the output in form of law society compliance documents, which is in turn what is used by you when you're being audited. You need to make sure that you use a program that is helpful for a legal practitioner, that does the work, that does majority of the work. Else there's no point recording the transactions and not receiving any output. So finally, it's all about compliance, accountability, analytics, and ease of use. So if you're able to make sure that your audit, the compliance is taken care of, then auditor is going to find no compliance with using the program that you're currently using, ensuring that from time to time you're being reconciling your accounts from time to time, drawing all the documents that's required from the time you onboard to the time you close the file. And while accountability is about if you're lacking something in your business, you will be able to quickly track it down. You'll be able to, it helps you to track down the health of the business, definitely ensuring that the analytics is clearly provided with the, with all the data. Rather, this is what you need end of the day. And ease of use definitely is going to be there with saving time while doing everything, let's say on an Excel spreadsheet or a paper pen method or on a simple Wave account or a QuickBook account or let's take anything. So what is the end result when it comes to an audit? Are you able to produce documents that an auditor needs from the program with the help of the data entry you made? So that is where I say a practice management plays a major role in saving you time during audits and also finding any other issues where you're able to track your business and at the same time assess the health of your practice and also the ease of use. So there's several things that helps you by using a practice management solution. It doesn't stop with just data entry. It doesn't stop with just using let's say making sure all the data is being transformed into the firm's reconciliation statements or documents. Everything is available readily if you're using a practice management program or a legal accounting software. So try and make the best use of what is available within the program so that, don't even miss 1 month of reconciliation. Don't miss, try to do it every week if you get a chance. If you don't, at least do it once a month before 25th of the next month. And ensuring, you have enough room to produce all these documents and keep them handy on a month-end basis. So that was probably what we wanted to discuss with you today as part of Law Society audit, getting ready for Law Society audit. Quickly providing you with some reference links. I would be happy to, I would say, kindly screenshot them. If you, I would also put these for you in a chat window, or we'll have them sent to your email. If any of you are not able to take a screenshot of it, please do let me know on the chat window, and I'll be happy to share. These are also available under, if you're a uLaw user, again, these are also available under the help, right beside your name on the top once you log in. Please make sure, if you're not a uLaw user, I would say please go ahead and register for a 30-day free trial. We'll help you with how you could save time doing all by yourself than letting the program do the back-end work and you enter the data or the input, provide with it, and then we'll be able to provide with the documents that you need for the Law Society. So I am opening the floor for any further queries. If you all have any queries, I hope this session helped you all. So just to quickly wrap it up, let you all know that the data entry made on a day-to-day basis and the reconciliations made on a monthly basis, ensuring all your other documents from trust ledgers to journals to payment, trust transfers, Form 9As, everything is equally important. That is why uLaw has it clubbed under, monthly compliances. So please make sure that from time to time you're able to download all of these and keep a track of them under the respective files so that when you're being audited, even if you're being asked for a specific client's files or documents, you're able to take it out and give it in no time. So that's probably what we wanted to discuss with you all today. Any questions? I'm opening the floor for a couple of minutes. I'd be happy to assist you all with any questions. Please do let me know. We have some links that our team member would like to share with you all, some announcements. Please take a quick look at it on the chat window. And any further questions with regards to Law Society audits, please do email us. You might be our client, you might not be our client or customer, sorry. You can always email us. You can always email us on info@uLawPractice.com. Please do ask us many questions. Give us suggestions or feedbacks on how these webinars are being helpful to you, and what more can we do to enhance. What kind of topics would you like to learn or know or hear from us, making sure that they're all going to be done over a period of time. I do have a couple of questions, of which one saying, if during a trust or a general reconciliation, you see a transaction recorded in uLaw as, let's say, number 950, but the same transaction recorded in your bank statement read as 900, how would you correct it? Mark, I did get your question. This is very specific. I would rather come in on a call to you and confirm the details and help you with this. But it's very simple. You just go back, you come out of the reconciliation, you go back into that transaction from that specific client's matter, and you actually edit the transaction to what amount it was there in your your bank statement. So we always say that you need to match the item with your bank statement. So please make sure that you could change the transaction accordingly, or if it's wrong in your bank, you have to move the money from trust to general in your bank. So I have to listen to the scenario completely. So let me give you a call probably after this session, and I'll help you with this question. Any other common questions from today's webinar? I hope you all, understood the essence of doing your regular month-end compliances, making sure that even though today's topic is not about month-end compliance, but for being an audit ready, I strongly feel you have to be ready every month in order to face the audit without any issue or trouble. I hope you all enjoyed today's session. Thank you all for joining in today. If you all have any further questions, feel free to reach out to us on support@uLawPractice.com. Thank you and have a lovely day. Look forward to talk to you all soon. Take care.